жить народу.
It was clear from the experience which they had in '96 that the next presidential campaign will demand two major tools. One is a Russian TV channel which is going to support the next president, and a company which is going financially to stay behind the electoral campaign and support the candidate financially.
The oil company Sibneft is created with Roman Abramovich, Berezovsky's intriguing young business partner, as chairman. The state TV, directed by Boris Berezovsky, becomes a tool for state propaganda. A system is born to promote Yeltsin's successor. The elections are hardly over when Yeltsin falls ill again. He delegates his powers to the oligarchs Berezovsky and Abramovich, who have won their gamble in using their money to obtain political power. They literally command the country, with other members of a group known as the family. It includes Yeltsin's own daughter, Tatiana, and her future husband. The oligarchs are looking for someone young, serious, but unpretentious, who will suit Yeltsin as his successor. Obedient and efficient, Vladimir Putin seems the perfect choice.
In 1998, the family proposed Putin as head of the FSB, the former KGB. It is a decisive and symbolical step in his career, a chance to prove his loyalty and render important services to the regime.
Повторяю, для меня это родные стены, но это и огромное доверие со стороны президента страны, со стороны правительства.
Although a former KGB lieutenant colonel, Vladimir Putin is the first civilian in history to be nominated to this post. He now finally occupies the seat that his mentor Yuri Andropov had left 16 years earlier.
These oligarchs were hoping that Putin, who was promoted only to the rank of lieutenant colonel, which is not really very high, is not going to be loyal to FSB the way a general of FSB is going to be loyal.
But what the oligarchs fail to realize is that Vladimir Putin has never abandoned the KGB spirit and its ideology. He feels invested with a mission, and in the shadows, he patiently awaits his hour.
Protected by their political status, the oligarchs triple their fortunes, dilapidate millions, and invest massively offshore. In the meantime, many Russians are finding it hard to subsist. In summer 1998, the economic crash is inevitable. Yeltsin needs a firm hand at the helm to reassure the population. A KGB prime minister appears his best option. The first one, Soviet-style Evgeny Primakov, takes his mission too seriously and declares that he will put a halt to corruption and throw the oligarchs in jail. The population jubilates. Yeltsin and the family feel distinctly worried. Confident in the people's support, Primakov turns a blind eye. He nominates a new general prosecutor, Yuri Skuratov, to assist him. Skuratov's first inquiry starts within the walls of the Kremlin itself and concerns its sumptuous renovation. $66 million have been embezzled and are to be found on the bank accounts of high-ranking civil servants and members of the family. The general prosecutor is treading dangerous ground.
A criminal inquiry was opened. Technically, it was simple enough. The problem was Yeltsin himself was directly involved.
And Yeltsin could not throw the prosecutor out because he had no legitimate legal power. So he asked Mr. Putin, could you do anything? And he said, yeah, well, no problem, we'll do it. So, you know, the prosecutor was framed at the KGB safe house with some of the prostitutes, and it was all on camera and shown on Russian television.
The director of the FSB, Vladimir Putin, has announced that the pictures of the man resembling Yuri Skuratov are authentic. They've been confirmed as being those of the general prosecutor.
Skuratov is forced to resign.
Putin, in the eyes of Yeltsin, became someone who would never let him down. And in that sense, he is probably right. Putin keeps his word. I mean, in that sense, he knows his superiors, and he never betrayed them so far. And that's a fact. That's part of his character.
For Yeltsin, Mr. Putin, the head of the FSB, has passed his test. He deserves a reward.
Я решил назвать человека, который, по моему мнению, способен консолидировать общество. Владимир Владимирович Путин.
Putin's nomination as Prime Minister in August 1999 confirms that he has been approved of by the whole family, but he's still unknown to the population.
No one knew him. Everyone was asking, who is this Putin man? Do you remember that question? Who is Mr. Putin? So he had to show who he was. And that's when we had the explosions in the Moscow apartment blocks.
In 3 weeks, explosions in several Russian towns kill 300 people. The government immediately accuses the Chechen rebels. But when another explosion is nipped in the bud and 2 terrorists are arrested, the Kremlin surprisingly orders the police to stop inquiries. Journalists discover what could well become a state affair. The terrorists in question are in fact members of the FSB. NTV, the TV station belonging to Vladimir Gusinsky, broadcasts a debate on the implication of the FSB in the explosions, where FSB officials accuse one another of collusion. The public still finds this hard to believe. But journalists are pursuing their investigations, and as Prime Minister, Putin realizes that there is no time to be lost. He must create a diversion. He decides to exploit the population's hatred for the Chechens.
You see, Chechnya has always been the politician's grave. A lot of people were afraid and thought Putin should keep his distance. But he was determined. To general surprise, it played in his favor.
Трудно назвать этих людей людьми. Их даже зверями назвать нельзя. Если это звери, то бешеные.
The middle class became angry. Putin reacted in the same way. This is when he started to build his image, saying, I'm a man like you. I'm the head of state, but I'm the same as you.
Мы будем преследовать террористов везде. В аэропорту, значит, вы уж меня извините, в туалете поймаем, и в сортире их замочим, в конце концов. Все, вопрос закрыт окончательно.
It's at this moment that Putin really becomes Putin. He acquires his own language, freedom of expression, and complicity with the Russian people. He's no longer afraid of his public.
For the last 3 centuries, many Russians and their leaders have resented the Chechen bandits, as they call them. The Chechens have always refused to submit to Russian dominance. Stalin deported them by thousands. Yeltsin's peace treaty is felt as a humiliation, and for the population, the recent explosions are a provocation. Their Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin, is entirely justified in declaring a new war. Berezovsky asks Sergei Dorlienko, the star journalist of his TV station, to put his political news magazine, at the service of Vladimir Putin.
Я должен сказать, что он меня часто...
He often asked me in private to provoke a situation. For example, when I suggested that our army attack Chechnya, he said, "Say it on the air."
Скажите, вот вы скажите об этом.
I said, "I was going to anyway. You say it."
Я хочу, чтобы вы сказали. Он говорит,
He answered, "No, I want you to say it for me. We'll see how people react."